When I was a child actor, I never succeeded. And I was great looking as a kid. I was top notch, you know? And I never got to a point where I was like in or around like these predators, because they would have went nuts. They would have had a field day with me. Not now, but then they would have had a field day with me. Now they would just be like, you know, park my car or something. But back then, whoo, I would have been a man about town in this place. But my parents were inept. And I truly believe if they could have, they would have sold me into sex slavery. But being lazy boomers and incapable of closing a deal, they did not. I don't believe it was immorality. I believe it was that they were literally stupid, lazy, and good for nothing. And that's probably the only reason I was not passed all around Hollywood. I imagine that they probably were going to hand me off to a director and got lost. My mother had a horrible sense of direction. And I imagine my boomer parents in Long Island fighting all the way home about not making the drop where they were dropping me off. I don't have any proof of that, but I imagine that both of my parents were pedophiles who tried to sell me to Hollywood and failed. Even sadder. I don't know. I don't have proof of that, but let's not get lost in that. I would have done better with competent. They were not good stewards of my career, is my point. Now, they actually, to their credit, shielded me from a lot of that stuff. Like, I remember I was in a play in the city, and my grandmother used to stand outside the bathroom so, like, nobody would come in and molest me, which was very nice of her, you know? The play that I was doing was about, there's more molestation going on in the country than I had realized. Everybody's getting molested. This is a big problem. And the statistics on it are like staggering. Did you know that?
Especially during quarantine, it's highly underreported right now. It's fucked up if you really look into it.
What do you mean?
Teachers were the ones who were really reporting kids getting abused, but now they don't discover that a kid's abused until he's taken to the emergency room because it has to be so bad.
Wow.
Yeah. It was pretty depressing reading about that the other night, but it's just skyrocketing and highly underreported. I mean, it's a depressing point. I'm sorry it's not funny.
Well, no, that's what you add to the show often is funny. So it's nice to take a break from what you usually add, which is nonstop hilarity. It's why you're here. And I thank you for coming in with something serious and sad as opposed to your usual festival of gags.
Well, I didn't give you a good. You couldn't really.
No, you didn't really give. You talked about to children that it doesn't get reported until they're in the emergency room from the abuse. What's not funny about that? Well, was that? Did I not? Was that not? I didn't. No, you spiked the ball. You set it up for me. I fucked up. I fucked up by not making that funnier. The children who are regularly abused now needing to be abused severely and put in the hospital. So, no, thank you for that. And I apologize that I wasn't more prepared to take that and run with it. Because there's so many directions that I could have gone to make that funny. And I appreciate the way you brought that out. It's true. You know? So, moving on. But that's okay. You're funny enough on the show where people, they don't want more funny out of you. Mm-hmm. They get enough funny out of you. Sometimes they want you to have a fun fact about, the hospitalization rate of abused children. But it's a good point that you make is that kids during the quarantine run their mouth. And some of them need to be dealt with. Mm-hmm. Not raped, but beaten. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, we don't believe that. These are jokes. And I know that, in 5 years, they're going to get the podcast. And when I call my parents pedophiles or when I say the kids need to get beaten, in 5 years, it's just go, or before that, they're just going to be videos on Twitter and people are going to be like, see. I mean, we're losing the whole idea of jokes and that things are a joke. You know what I mean? Like Chris Lee was doing a bit. He was doing a bit. And we've lost the idea of that. He was just doing a bit. He's gone, hey, what are you in high school? Show me your tits. LOL. It's a bit. He's doing a joke. Now it's a performance art piece, yes, because it's not in the comedy club. Yeah. But many great artists, Andy Kaufman and others, tested the limits of art. And that is what Chris was doing. He was doing a performance art piece where he was seeing what it would be like to kind of be a pedophile. He was saying, if I were to ask a high schooler, what would this be like? And he was probably doing it to raise awareness because it is a problem. And that's what he was doing. He was probably doing it like that.
Yeah.
But we've lost the ability to take a joke in this country. No one can get the idea of what a bit is. He was doing it. It was a gag. Yeah. He was being a buffoon. He was being a clown. His bit was he would message a girl, and if she was underage, he'd go, oh, sad face. And then, a few days later, be like, are you still? So are you still? It's a bit, it's a joke. Do you see what I mean? We're so crazy. Kevin Spacey was kidding. It was a joke. Like, what? No one gets bits anymore. Harvey Weinstein it was a prank. He was trying to make the actresses feel comfortable by raping them because many of them, maybe it was their first big movie and they were a little nervous. And he said it would diffuse the tension if I pulled my dick out and wrestled this woman in a hotel room. Do you see what I mean? That we're losing our ability to really process good material? Mm-hmm. Who did the best bit of the last century? O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson did the funniest joke ever. This is how funny he was. He decapitated the mother of his children and a waiter as a bit.
Yeah.
And then got away with it. The ultimate punchline. Set up. Mm-hmm. A year later, punch. Not guilty.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a bit? So that's my worry. My worry is that we are now involving the FBI in something that should just kind of be a laugh fest.